Your Excellency Bon Yaye, President of the Republic of Benin, Your Excellency Gilbert Ugbo, Prime Minister of the Republic of Togo, Your Excellency Prof. Albert Tevogere, the Ombudsman of the Republic of Benin, and Chair of the Organizing Committee of the Symposium, Honorable and distinguished special envoys to this symposium, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. Before I start making my remarks, which I'm going to do in English, let me first of all say something that might be also in the interest of this symposium. And I'm doing that before you start wondering and asking, why is this man from Rwanda going to speak to us in English? Because people in Rwanda also ask that question. They wonder why sometimes I speak to them in English, not in French. But I should say that Rwanda probably is an example of many things, the good and the bad, depending on one's interpretation or where they stand on issues. And as if Africa does not have enough things that divide it, this also becomes another issue that divides Africa, which I think is unnecessary. In my own country, we have one common language, Kinyarwanda. We all speak one common language, a vernacular. But you can imagine Rwandan is wondering why another Rwandan speaks English or French. What does English and French have to do with being African or Rwandan? And of course, to make it worse, again, it's not an issue of whether you speak good English or good French. No, they're not interested in how good the language is. It's just that you must speak one or the other. But how about the substance? How about the quality? Of course, in my Rwanda, many people speak French. But I can assure you that it is bad French because I understand it. So that should really not be an issue. 17 years ago, when we had our own struggle, the wars we fought and so on and so forth, the issue that I spoke English was used against me or against the struggle. Because people are saying, who are these crazy men and women coming to Rwanda speaking English? And even outsiders used to say, no, Kagame is not Rwandan because he speaks English. In other words, they were saying, those outsiders were even saying probably that they were more Rwandan than I was because they spoke French. This is very absurd. And it is an issue Africa must address. We should not allow this artificial and unnecessary divide. Again, I have told you, I wish the issue was this language or this language is being used for trade, for peace, for technology, for many things. No, they don't mind that. And that's why they don't mind how bad my English is, or they don't mind how bad your French is. So we Africans, bring back the substance to the things we believe in and to the things we do. So before I start my speech, I also want to acknowledge and thank the young men and women, or the girls and boys who might be sitting up there trying to bridge the gap between me and the audience in terms of translation. So I thank you very much. It is a pleasure to join you here in Cotonou at this important symposium to mark 50 years of independence across Africa. But let me start by expressing our sympathy for the floods that affected hundreds of thousands of the people of this country in many ways. I commend the government, Professor Albert Tevogere, and people of Benin for going ahead and organize this symposium. Je voudrais féliciter le gouvernement et le peuple béninois au nom de vos frères et sœurs rwandais pour cette occasion historique. This anniversary points back to a significant turning point in Africa's collective history. And I am honored to address this distinguished audience today as we chart another journey forward. This occasion presents us with the opportunity to reflect on Africa's achievements over the last half a century of independence, the missed opportunities, but most importantly, to craft a new positive direction for the future. Let us be candid with ourselves. Despite the fact that Africa has progressively advanced over the last 50 years, with inspiring stories of innovation and lessons to offer the rest of the world, the image consistently portrayed, and sadly, at times even by ourselves, is one of poverty and despair. It clearly is up to us to ensure that both the image and the reality truly reflect what we as Africans stand for, and there is no better time than now to break away from the past and indeed, once again, take charge of our destiny. To do this, I propose that we ask ourselves this question: how can Africa direct the next 50 years to shape a continent that is economically, politically, and socially transformed for the benefit of all our citizens? Mr. President, Excellencies, distinguished audience, as we all know, Africa has not been dormant over these last 5 decades. We have worked hard to make our lives better, so there is plenty to build on already. To take these efforts further and transform the continent in a sustainable manner, we should now aim to do 2 things. First, to clearly identify, then consolidate our gains and recover our losses. Secondly, to apply the right attitudes of results-oriented actions that will ultimately bring the prosperity and dignity that Africans want and deserve, both now and for the future. If we do a quick stocktake of the past decade, for example, we will see that many of our countries have registered economic growth rates averaging over 5% annually. Africa now has a number of large multinational corporations in sectors such as telecommunications and banking that are expanding even beyond the continent and bringing benefits to Africans in terms of technology, jobs, dividends, and consumer choices. We have made notable investments in education and training and equipped our people with the knowledge and the skills to drive our development effort and also compete globally. The link between economic progress and greater stability, peace, security, and the right to choose our own leaders in many of our nations demonstrates that, contrary to popular criticism, democracy and good governance have also progressed. While acknowledging these positive developments, it is clear that we are not yet where we should be. The euphoria and optimism 50 years ago at the prospects of a new era and brighter future have been disappointed. We did not succeed in building progressive, peaceful nations that could claim their rightful place in global affairs. We were also unable to transform the vast resources of the continent into real prosperity for our people. As a result, we still find ourselves in a permanent position of aid dependency and marginalization in global trade, which we all know hinder the stability or the ability to harness our own resources and stand our dignity.